I tried everything. I called all the housing, affordable income housing, full. I called different places to live. If I've had an eviction, even if I had $1 million, they wouldn't take me.
Americans seem more stressed about money than ever before. The cost of living skyrocketing, many Americans are experiencing financial stress on a daily basis.
There are many families who won't be able to put food on the table without help.
87% of Americans said that inflation and the rising costs of everyday goods is what's driving their stress.
The cost of living in the United States is rapidly increasing, causing financial strain on households. Expenses like mortgages, rent, car payments, and grocery bills are all on the rise. Unfortunately, salaries are not keeping up with these mounting costs, resulting in a decline in purchasing power. This financial stress is impacting a majority of Americans, regardless of their income level, with high-income families also feeling the pressure and low-income families drowning in debt. Inflation and the threat of recession only makes matters worse. To showcase the extent of this economic hardship, we've compiled a list of 20 facts proving the American middle class is being destroyed by increasing living costs. We appreciate your support and ask that you kindly like this video and subscribe to our channel. 1. It is alarming to note that a significant proportion of working families, almost 1 in 3, are struggling to make ends meet every month. The number of Americans who are unable to pay their bills in full is on the rise, with 38.5% of adults, or 90 million Americans, are reporting that it has been extremely challenging to pay their regular bills in the past month. This represents a 4% surge compared to the previous year and is even more significant than the early months of the pandemic, a 14% increase from 2021. As a result, people are compelled to accumulate more debt to cover their basic necessities. 2. According to Pew Research data, almost 1/3 of mothers in the United States had a tough time feeding their children over the last year. This was due to a nearly 15% increase in grocery prices, with some items facing price hikes of over 100%. In contrast to 19% of fathers, 30% of mothers reported not having enough money to purchase food, resulting in 70% of them having to give up their own meals to provide food for their children. 3. According to a recent CNBC survey, Americans are feeling the pinch of rising prices for basic household expenses, such as rent, groceries, and utilities. This has weakened their purchasing power, with 70% of respondents citing it as their main financial stressor. Other contributors include inflation, 59%, rising interest rates, 36%, and the lack of savings, 35%, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Purchasing power of the dollar in 2022 is about 92.6%, the purchasing power of a dollar in 2021. 4. Even those with high salaries are facing difficulties in accumulating wealth, particularly in expensive cities. Survey from financial advisory companies Payments and Lending Club revealed that in December 2022, over half, 51% of individuals earning over $100,000 reported living paycheck to paycheck, a 7% increase from the previous year. 5. The escalating credit card debt and delinquency rates are a cause for concern. With the rising cost of living, many individuals have resorted to credit cards for their daily expenses. The data provided by the government highlights an increase in credit card balances, a 25% surge in delinquency rates since April 2022. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York recently released data indicating that Americans set a new record for credit card debt in the final quarter of 2022, reaching a total of $930 billion. 6. A significant proportion of people lack a financial cushion to rely on. According to a recent survey, a mere 45% of adults in the United States possess an emergency fund. According to the current Fed Reserve report, nearly 40% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency expense. They would have paid by borrowing or selling something, or said they would not have been able to cover the expense. 7. White-collar job is hitting a wall. Businesses are preparing for a potential recession, resulting in a decrease in hiring for many white-collar jobs. A study by Indeed has found that job listings for technology roles have decreased by 55% compared to last year. Additionally, vacancies in the banking industry have decreased by over 40%, while listings in the insurance industry have fallen by 18%. 8. A recent report by Care.com reveals that a significant number of American employers are seeking to update their benefits packages this year. The survey indicates that 95% of employers are considering revising their strategies, with almost half of the participants, 47%, planning to reduce benefits. 9. Compromise financial resilience. MetLife researchers' annual employee benefits trends survey employs a reliable metric known as the Financial Resilience Report, which reveals a drastic decline in financial resilience over the past year. The overall financial health of U.S. employees has plummeted to a mere 55% from 66% a year ago, indicating that people are currently in survival mode. 10. Most middle-class Americans can't support middle-class lifestyle. According to a recently published report by Primerica, an overwhelming majority of middle-income families, 72%, believe their earnings are not keeping up with the rapidly rising cost of living. This number has significantly increased from the previous year's figure of 68%. 11. Medical debt. Research suggests that a significant number of Americans with overdue medical debt owe thousands of dollars or more. While 39% of this group reported owing less than $1,000, the remaining 61% owed more, with 21% owing at least $5,000 US. These findings come from a report by the Urban Institute based on survey data from mid-2022. 12. Skyrocketing healthcare costs. According to a recent study by KFF, the cost of medical care, including services, insurance, drugs, and equipment, has increased by 115.1% since 2000. This is significantly higher than the average increase of 78.2% for all other consumer goods and services during the same period. In April 2023, from the previous year, the prices for medical care increased by 2.3%. 13. A record high number of people in the U.S. put off medical care in 2022, the highest inflation rate in the U.S. in more than 40 years, made a challenging year for many Americans. As a result, the percentage of Americans who reported postponing medical treatment for themselves or a family member due to cost increased by 12 points in just 1 year, reaching 38%. This figure marks the highest in Gallup's 22-year trend. 14. Housing crisis. Low-income workers can't afford a 2-bedroom rental apartment anywhere in the U.S. on minimum wage. Middle class is also struggling due to a shortage of affordable housing options. Only 320,000 listings are within the range of households earning up to $75,000 US annually. 15. Massive evictions. A report from Princeton University's eviction lab shows that the number of families evicted from their suburban homes has increased over the years. Researchers analyzed eviction records from 74 metropolitan areas in the U.S. and discovered that while the number of evictions in city centers remained steady from 2000 to 2016, the proportion of evictions in suburban areas increased in 58 of those metropolitan areas. 16. Unaffordable rent. Over the past 10 years, the average asking rent for retail real estate in the United States has consistently increased. As of the first quarter of 2023, the average asking rent per square footage is almost $23 US. However, rental prices differ across regions in the US, with the Western region having the highest rent for shopping center spaces. 17. Debt-to-income ratio. Middle-income buyers are at a disadvantage due to their debt-to-income ratio. Lenders use this ratio to measure a borrower's loan repayment ability. A lower ratio makes a borrower more attractive and less risky. The common advice is to keep the balance below 36%. Middle-income buyers are affected more than higher-income buyers. 18. Auto loan debt surge. Due to inflation affecting their spending power, borrowers with poor credit scores struggle to keep up with their car loan payments. The rate of severely delinquent auto loans, which is defined as being at least 60 days behind payment, marked its highest rate since 2006 at 1.89% in January. Moreover, a report by S&P Global Ratings revealed that over 6% of subprime loan payments typically offered to people with lower credit scores and coming with high interest rates were at least 60 days late by the end of 2022. This was the highest December level since the credit rating agency began tracking in 2000. 19. Rising childcare costs. According to a U.S. Women's Bureau of Department of Labor report, families spend at least 8% of their income on childcare costs. In 2020, the annual cost for full-time care for an infant in New York totaled $22,500. Annual full-time care costs for infants in Maryland were the highest in the country that year at $24,500. Last but not least, a report by Pew Research Center found that Americans' middle class has been shrinking for the past 50 years. Between 1970 and 2021, the share of U.S. aggregate income earned by the middle class shrunk from formerly 62% to just 42%. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and feel free to share your thoughts on the subject in the comments section below.